pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the July meeting of the Irondequoit Zoning Board of Appeals. The outset, please take note of the fire exit, which is to your left. In the event of an emergency, please move in a calm and orderly fashion using the north or south stairs, and please do not use the elevator. Our Secretary, Michelle, is taking minutes for the purpose of a record, not a verbatim transcript, in order to help her make sure that she accurately records what takes place. When you come to the podium, please identify yourself and please speak clearly into the microphone. The minutes are not intended to be a verbatim record, but only to indicate the sum and substance of the proceedings. The meeting is being recorded by our ICAT department and broadcast on Spectrum Channel 1303, and I also understand is available on Facebook. Is there any other place it's available? No, that's it. And in a while on the town board website in a couple of months. We follow the items in the order that they appear on the agenda, extra copies of which are at the table by the door. Once the case is called, the applicant or their representative should come to the podium, identify themselves, state their address, pause and raise their right hand to be sworn, and then present their case. During the presentation of the applicant's case, members of the board will have an opportunity to question or engage in discussion with the applicant. Once that process has been completed, we then open the case for public input. We have identified 3 categories of public input. One is those who support the application. The second category is those who are opposed to the application. And the third category are those who neither are for nor against the application but have questions or concerns in relation to the application or an issue presented by the application. During the presentation of the case, the applicant's comments should be addressed to the board, once public input has been completed, then we'll give the applicant or their representative the opportunity to respond. Anyone wishing to speak to the board during the public input process should come to the podium, identify yourself by name and address. You do not need to pause to be sworn, and then you can state your comments. All comments are directed to the board and not to the applicant. Once we've heard from the public input and heard back from the applicant, if applicable, then the hearing will be closed and we'll move on to the next case on the agenda. Once we've heard all of the cases that appear on the agenda, the board will take a brief recess, and then we will return to deliberate the cases in the order in which they appear on the agenda and for which the applicant or their representative remains present. So if the first applicant has left, we would take the second case first, and we'll proceed in that fashion down the agenda, taking the cases of those who remain, and then we will go back to the top of the agenda and take the cases for those who are no longer present. During this portion of the meeting, there is no further public input allowed unless it's specifically requested by a member of the board. If you wish to leave, you're certainly welcome to do so. If you wish to stay, you're welcome to do so. If you leave, but you're interested in knowing what we decided, and you get home in time, you can catch it on the TV or on Facebook, or you can call the Planning and Zoning Department at Town Hall tomorrow morning after 9, and they will gladly tell you what decision we made. Before we get underway with the agenda, I will once again point out to everyone present that our board, by law, consists of 7 members. And any action of the board requires an affirmative vote of a majority of the members of the board. So that means that because we're a board that's constituted at 7, it requires votes of 4 in order for an variance or special use permit to be granted. Right now, we have two positions on the board that are not filled, and one of the 5 remaining members cannot join us tonight. So once again, for the 3rd month in a row, we have 4 members sitting here tonight. If your application does not receive all 4 votes, it is deemed to be denied, and you cannot reapply for another year. If you determine at some point that maybe you'd prefer not to have it come to that tonight, just let us know, and we will table it till the next month, and hopefully next month we'll either have some more members appointed to the board, or at least have the 5 who are remaining all present. But I mention that at the start of any meeting where we do not have a full complement, in order so you're aware. And you can proceed as you wish. We will accommodate your wish in that respect. So we will now call the cases on our agenda.
Mr. Chair, if I may, before I call the first case, I'd like to mention to the audience that if you need to use the restroom, they are under construction on the 1st floor, but there is the stairs up to the 2nd floor as well as an elevator if anybody needs to use the restroom.
Thank you. I
You're
noticed
welcome.
that on the way in, but I didn't know what the remedy was.
They're working on it.
All right.
First item on the agenda is case number ZB 2026.05.05. Greater Living Architecture PC, acting as agent for Amy McEntee, are seeking the renewal of area variances granted on December 2nd, 2024, to construct a new single-family dwelling with attached garage with less than required front and rear setbacks on premises 397 Rock Beach Road in the R2 residential zoning district.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Joe O'Donnell, Greater Living Architecture, address 3033 Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road.
Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. So we're back here again for the 3rd time as well to try and get an extension to the area variances that were granted a couple years ago for this property on Rock Beach Avenue.
Well, just to clarify for the record, it's not an extension. It's a new variance because the previous variance that
Oh,
we
okay.
granted expired.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
technically, it's a new variance.
Okay, thank you. At the last meeting, we offered to one of the board members who had some concerns to meet with the neighbor, Greg here, who lives directly behind the property, and try and discuss some mitigations and things like that to his concerns. And in the meantime, the owner, the McEntees, have hired Land Tech, the civil engineers that did the original variance process, to stake out the property, or stake out the house, which we did. And they've also specifically in their proposal addressed any issues related to drainage, that they would work with the DPW and get any drainage concerns that are in the right-of-way now, the drainage right-of-way now. So we feel like we've pretty much addressed, again, any questions, concerns. We've also obtained a petition of 28 signatures, of which the neighbors directly to the east and west of this property and 2 neighbors directly across the street to the north have signed that petition in favor of approving the variances. So one of the things that you'll hear from Greg, the neighbor behind, is when we did go meet out there, he just questioned whether or not the house could be moved even closer to the street. I went back, I checked some of the records and the minutes and letters that went back in 2024, and noticed that the board, in one of the initial meetings, suggested moving the house 4 feet closer than that was proposed that evening. John Sharaba from Land Tech addressed that. They did move it even closer. We don't feel moving it any closer now is going to really change the substance of the request. So then, not to mention that moving it any closer to the road starts to make the driveway so small you can't even stack a car or 2 in that. So that's another reason why we think where it's positioned now, which has already been approved twice before actually with an extension, should move forward.
Any questions from the board? All right. We'll open it up to public input. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to the application?
As Joe has stated, I'm Greg. I'm Greg Pike, 249 Norcrest Drive. The back of my lot is the back of that lot. Last month, we talked about the December 2024 meeting. The architect at that time agreed to move the house forward. Conversation went as, Chair, if I understand, this is 2024. I understand correctly, you could work with 15 feet from the back and 8 feet from the front. Applicant, I would like to keep the back with some flexibility, but I would push it if you gave me the flexibility on the front, and I would push it up there without having the final footprint, and I can work with that. Chair respond. If we are inclined to grant the variance, we could grant that with minimum 10 feet setback and greater if possible, and no more than 13 feet in the front and down to less 8. And would that give you a 10-foot range to work with the neighbor in final positioning and final site planning? Applicant, I think that's flexibility the neighborhood deserves, and I continue working with that. But in the very beginning, the chair had asked for work with 15 feet from the back if he was going to be able to move the house all the way to 8 feet from the front, 8 feet from the front. Okay. Okay, after last night's meeting, at the suggestion of the chair, I talked with Joe O'Connell and the prospective new owner. Joe gave me a print and suggested staking out the footprint. That was done. And I met Joe and the stake. We noticed the house could move forward. With the print, I calculate the house is 20 feet from the front lot line, 50 feet from the road. I asked, and I asked the new variance to be 20 feet for myself. Not asking to move the house all the way to the front line, move 10 feet. You're 40 feet from the road. That should give you 4 cars to be parked in that driveway at 40 feet. And it should give you space to work for more cars beside the road. So also, we always ask, is this self-created? Putting a single level 2,000 square foot building on a postage size lot? Yes, it's self-created. Drainage is still a problem. The rain that we had on the 4th had standing water in the backyard, and near on Rob Pachowski's lawn and on the lot that you're talking about building on. Again, it's 20 feet from the lot line now forward. I'm not telling you to move it all 20 feet. Move it 10 feet out and give me 10 more feet of my backyard, from my backyard.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Is there anyone who would like to talk to us about this application? Does the applicant wish to reply?
Well, again, just in regards to the drainage question, the site has not been engineered yet. That's all part of this project. So, and as I mentioned a couple months ago, drainage, you have to control your own drainage on your site by law. So the drainage issue will be addressed.
What about I don't have the map with me. What about the
Well,
issue of the distances?
well, there's a difference between the distance to the road and the distance to the property line.
Right,
Yes.
I'm aware of that. That's what I
So-
think is part of not being taken into account in Mr. Pike's comments.
Right.
The property line appears, the right-of-way appears to be,
Yeah, the property line is a far distance from the road. So it's only,
there's the right-of-way line I'm looking at two dotted lines, which I'm not sure.
The heavy dotted line is the property line. Then,
Then there's the right-of-way
Then-
that encroaches on that a little bit.
correct.
That's correct.
And then there's three short lines and a long line and three short lines.
That indicates the property line. The dashed line is showing
This is the property line?
the area of, here, if I could have come up.
Can you guys tell me what map you're on, so I'm on the,
Site plans in our package, it's drawings, SD 1.1, drawing AF.
I'm looking at the SD 1.1.
Right.
Right?
It's this one here.
So, all right. This line here is what?
This line here is, that is showing the property line.
Okay, and this line here is what?
That's what the variance,
That's a
that's the
setback.
area, it's a
That-
setback.
That would be the setback
That's
line.
the 8 feet?
Yeah.
the 8
Yeah.
feet?
This is the right-of-way line,
Yep.
And,
property line, setback line.
all right, and then this doesn't show the staking of the house, but
Right.
I believe it was something like this.
Yeah, so there, that would be this, that, if you go out there, you'll see a stake.
I saw the
Every one of the
stakes.
corners.
Yeah. All right, so
So you can see
what's
that-
this distance here?
That's the 10 feet, I believe. They granted
The
it for
rear
the rear
setback.
setback.
And this is 8 feet from the front, from the property line?
It looks like 8. 8, yeah. Yeah, that's 8 feet.
All right.
Right along the front here.
So this is the 8 feet, right here, from here to here.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the town's right-of-way and the
Correct.
road, right? Okay,
Snow removal.
right, okay.
Isn't that encroaching on the rear?
It's the overhang.
Oh,
That's the
all right.
overhang.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
We gotta get that labeled.
Just make sure you guys use the microphones when you're up there.
Sure.
Please.
All right, so what the SD 1.1 drawing, which is the site plan, shows is that there's a 50-foot wide, it's not an easement, it's a 50-foot wide
Right of way.
right-of-way for the Rock Beach Road. Now, the way Rock Beach Road is laid out at present, it is at the northernmost end of that 50-foot right-of-way, and it is quite a ways from the southwestern edge of the right-of-way. So there is extra property in there, but that is not property that can be taken into account because it is not part of the property that the variance pertains to. The map, the site plan shows that the front line of the proposed home would be 8 feet from the property line. And then in the back, it's 10 feet. To the structure, there's an overhang that overhangs apparently a foot or so, which is not uncommon. So in terms of the layout that you have, that's pretty much in conformity with what we approved in December of '24, correct?
Correct.
All right, so the 8 feet is still the 8 feet?
Correct.
And you're still working with
Yeah.
that in the back? Okay. And in terms of the drainage, that has to be addressed as part of the
Engineering.
engineering
Correct.
and building permit and
Correct.
the certificate process, as I understand it, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
Is that storm drain in the backyard a public drain or private?
Well, it's a drainage easement that goes
Okay,
kind of
it's
north to
public.
south on the,
Public, huh?
yeah, on the west side, yeah.
forgot to bring it. It's sitting in the car. I appreciate that. Trust me. All right, were there any further questions or comments from the board? All right, then we will close the hearing with respect to this matter and move on to the next item on the agenda.
Okay, next case on the agenda is case number ZB 2026.07.01. William and Nicole Bradley are seeking area variances to install front yard 6-foot-high fencing on a corner lot exceeding maximum permitted height and non-conforming fence type on premises 7 Perrin Drive in the R2 residential zoning district.
William Bradley, 7 Parent Drive. I say Rochester, New York, but it's Arundecoit.
You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, thank you.
So I am trying to get a variance. The way my lot is laid out, I only have 2 front doors. My farthest, or my closest way to get into my yard is 50 to 75 feet. I've had 3 hip replacements, a shoulder surgery and a replacement, so it makes it dangerous for me. We also live where we are at the corner of Heberton and Perrin is used like a drag strip. There is no one that goes speed limit. That area I'm asking for a variance is the only spot I have for my kids to play because my dogs use what fenced-in yard I have. I am asking to continue with the 6-foot nicely painted brown fence that I already have around, just to make it safe for my dogs too. They can jump. I got a variance in the past when I lived down in Seabreeze because my dog was jumping the fence constantly. And we've had nothing but problems with our neighbors. Someone bought the house, he's an out-of-state person who rents it out and does not care about any ongoings with his house. I've had to report the house numerous times to the police department with drug traffic coming in and out, and them using my backyard to go through instead of walking down their driveway where my young daughters and my son's rooms are. And we're talking all hours of the night. They've been with flashlights. All the mechanical systems for our house run back there. We've asked them numerous times to stop. If they break any one of the pipes, it could cost me $2,000. It's a hot water on demand system. So I am just trying to do my best to make a safe area for my kids, to be away from, I understand marijuana is legal now. These neighbors do not understand it's not as legal as they think. I've found drugs right underneath my daughter's swing is where I want to fence it in. She actually grabbed a bag and was going right for her mouth before I grabbed it. And I know if she would have ended up in the hospital, I would have been the first person she would have looked at along with her mother, not our neighbors. So I am just trying to make a safe spot for my children to have without cars whipping by and drug activity.
The orange fencing that's there now,
Yes, sir.
is that where this fence would be?
No, sir. It's going to run along that driveway, but where that tree is with the swing, it's actually going to come right across that. It's 10 feet away from the road. The only reason I put that there is because the police officers told me to after about the 8th time of reporting them banging across our backside of our house at 5 in the morning.
All right, so that's not where the fence would be then?
No, it actually, the snow fencing runs all the way to the street. It's going to be 10 feet away from the street. It's coming right around that tree, and it is not, I know one neighbor had a concern that it might block the stop sign. It's illegal to fence in a stop sign. So it's 10 feet away from the street on the Heberton side and about 13 on the parent side. I also brought up, I have a thumb drive video evidence. I have about 13 cameras around my house. I have the cars speeding through, the drugs, the everything.
My concern with the location and the type of fence is that it's going to look like a wall, and it's going to create quite something that's quite not in any other place in the neighborhood.
We've had every neighbor stop by and tell us the complete opposite. I just haven't, between the heat wave and working as much as I do, I haven't had a chance to go around and get signatures, but I'm almost positive you've gotten no negative calls.
Well, I'm not talking about the neighbors being in favor or opposed to it, because if that was the issue, we'd just take a vote of the neighbors and we wouldn't need this board.
Yep.
My concern is that a 6-foot solid fence, like you're proposing, on the east and south sides,
Yes.
is going to be like a wall. And it's not going to be visually much pleasing much. The
Gonna
reason that the
paint
town.
match to my house. It's literally paint match to my house.
I understand that, but your house is set back 40 feet and 18 feet from the road. You're talking about having it 10 feet, so there's going to be 30 feet that's going to be enclosed behind a 6-foot solid fence.
Yes, yeah, that's
Yeah.
mainly so my dogs don't jump over a 4-foot fence.
I understand that. My question is this: are you open to an alternative kind of 6-foot fence?
Not really, because then it'll look like crap unless someone is. I'm already only building this fence and trying to get this variance because of neighbors, and no one comes to ask for a town meeting or a board hearing to turn a property to a rental with no neighbors knowing. But I have to jump through hoops to get a fence to have a safe spot for my children.
Well, there's property on St. Paul that we approved a number of years ago with a large front lawn fence. But instead of it being a solid fence, it's 6 feet, but it's lattice in between the posts.
You actually approved that for me when I was down there, an extra 2 feet of lattice to make it previous when I was at a rental. The only reason I don't want to do that is because any wind coming through, lattice, chain link, or anything else is going to blow the drugs, the garbage, the everything else right into my yard where it's been going now. Snow fence hasn't stopped it. That's just like lattice. That's why I want it. I'm trying to cause the least amount of problems and not call Arundecoyt police, and I am trying to be neighborly about it, but it is going to break down into a situation they don't care. We've asked numerous times. It's been 2 years of ongoing police calls with nothing in resolve. I've called the landlord millions of times. He doesn't care because he's out of state. I'm not asking for much. I don't think at all.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned that we'd previously approved the top 2 feet of lattice with a 4 feet on below, right?
It was a previous property I had, not
Right.
the brown fence. I don't want to do two types of fence. You want me to unimprove my house instead of improve it if
Well,
I got
I'm trying
6-foot fence around half of it and then the rest.
I'm trying to find an accommodation for what you want that takes care of your concerns, but also isn't a 6-foot wall surrounding your house that's 10 feet from the road, because that looks like some kind of a compound.
Okay.
And none of the other properties in your neighborhood have that kind of fencing between the house and the street. Yes, you're on a corner lot. That, I understand we have problems with corner lots here all the time. What I'm suggesting is if we approve a 6-foot solid fence on the west side,
Yeah.
and then on the south side, going back up to the front edge of the house, the south edge of the structure.
Yeah.
The part on the map that you drew in green that needs the variance?
There's a couple portions, yes.
Well, there's the west side with the neighbor that you're having the trouble with, right?
Yep. Yep.
If that's a solid 6-foot fence, and then coming across and coming back up, it's 4 feet with lattice or something on the top 2 feet that isn't as solid.
I don't think that's going to increase the value of the property if I want to get out from under it, because we have just,
Well, I'm trying to accommodate the situation of your dogs, of your children, and of the trash blowing
it
in.
doesn't feel like it.
To the yard.
I'm asking something simply. I've lived there for 10 years. I pay my taxes. I do everything right. I'm asking for a little help. That's it.
Well, the town has created an ordinance based on findings that the town board has made, and part of that is to impose some uniformity and some restrictions in neighborhoods in the town. And because of this being the front of your house, even though you're not using it in the manner of it being the front, your entrances are on the Perrin Street side, not on the Heberton side, that still applies. We're constituted to give exceptions to what the town board has put in place when we deem it to be appropriate and justified. But one of the requirements that we have is that we are only supposed to grant a variance to the extent that it is necessary to meet the homeowner's needs.
If the lattice will give me what I want, then I am okay with that.
All right, because-
I would not like it because I don't think it'll do any improvement to my house. I think it'll make it look horrible, having all that mismatch, but if that's what'll help my
You can
my
paint the
safety.
lattice is the same brown as the 4-foot.
Yep,
The
that's-
4-foot will keep your dogs from being seen and your children from being seen by people who are traveling on
But the
Heberton.
picket also stops all the, I mean, even the cop said I felt like he was going to get high the minute he opened the door. You can sit in, we haven't been able to open our back windows on our house for the last 2 years until I built the rest of the 6-foot all the way down because of just the smoke coming over.
Right, and I'm talking about you'll be able to continue that fence down to within 10 feet
Okay.
of your property line, that fence.
Yep.
Solid, 6 feet, ground to the top. And then the south and the east side, having the lattice on top so it's not quite
I
the
understand
same
what you're
wall.
saying, yes. If that's the only thing I will get, I'm fine with that. I'm just looking whatever I can do to stop it.
And you can have the part that's in pink, you're already allowed to have that in the 6 feet.
Yep,
So you understand what I'm saying?
yep.
Okay. And that would, you can live with that?
Whatever I have to.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments of the applicant? Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application? Anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about fences, types, location, anything like that? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing with respect to this matter and move on to the next case on the agenda.
Next case on the agenda is case number ZB 2026.07.02. Amy and Joseph Grayler are seeking a special use permit to harbor 8 hens with coop pursuant to Town Code Chapter 235-70 on premises 100 Eaton Road in the R2 Residential Zoning District.
Hi, Amy Grayler, 100 Eaton Road.
And Joseph Grayler, 100 Eaton Road.
Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So yes, we are seeking a special use permit. We currently do have 6 hens. We moved from out of state with them. And they're our family pets. Our kids are homeschooled, so they learn a lot from them. But we put in for 8 because we like to add to our flock every couple years as some pass away. We don't want to leave the flock too small, like in the winter. But we do currently have the 6 that we moved with from out of state.
Have you familiarized yourself at all with our history of conditions over the years that we've developed with respect to chickens and hens and ducks in Arundecoit?
We know that chickens are allowed. Yes.
And when you say the conditions, you mean the regulations that are part of the code?
No, I'm talking about the conditions that this board has developed over the last 15 to 20 years in relation to special use permits relative to chickens, hens, ducks, and other wildlife like that.
I believe so.
It doesn't sound like
I'm
it.
not sure, yeah, I'm not sure
Because
what you mean.
if you were, this is what the conditions are. Number one, we limit it to 6 hens,
Okay,
right? No more than 6. Number 2, we don't allow for the replacement of any hens that have died. We've been told in the past by other applicants that you can't buy a single chicken. You have to buy multiples. So if
Correct.
one dies, you can't just replace one. So there's,
Correct.
the permit is in effect for 5 years. The requirement is that you maintain the animals in a healthy state, and you have veterinary care available as needed.
yes.
That you have them in a secure coop.
Yes, yep.
That you have either chicken wire or other kind of fencing that is buried 2 feet deep around the perimeter of the coop, or we've also approved it being on the surface and not buried for at least a 2-foot ribbon around the coop. The run has to be enclosed. You have what you referred to as, I believe, a tractor that you
So-
use for the chickens to free range.
Yes, so currently their coop is attached to our deck, and the deck is the run, so it's completely enclosed, including on top. But when we want them to get a fresh patch of grass, we will take 1 or 2 out and put them in the chicken tractor in our yard and just kind of rotate it around the yard, just so they have a fresh patch to be in.
All right, well, that's not free ranging the chickens.
No.
Okay. Another condition is that the food has to be kept in sealed containers
Yes,
and not
we-
outdoors.
We have a metal, like a trash can that we've been keeping in, and we did that back in our other state. For 6 years, we've never had any issues with anything getting in.
Okay, and am I forgetting any of the other conditions? Oh, yes, that's, you're also consenting to have someone from the town come out unannounced, without your specific permission to, here it is, to inspect at least once a year.
Yes.
And the newest one, sir, regarding a building permit
Yes, you
for
have
the
to.
coop and run.
Building permit for the coop and run, and it has to be at least 4 feet from the property lines, and it has to be maintained and cleaned appropriately.
Yeah, so the coop itself
And no
is...
roosters.
No roosters.
No roosters.
Roosters are not welcome in Arundecoit.
No, no. No roosters. The coop is 20 feet or more from each of our property lines, and we maintain it, and, yeah. And we have, the coop is on like a raised bed per se with hardware cloth underneath so that there's no, like nothing can dig up underneath.
What is hardwood cloth?
Yeah.
So it's the coop itself is a Sentinel commercial coop from Tractor Supply. It rests on a 2-by-6 foot base with half-inch hardware cloth, so
Metal wire.
half-inch metal wiring.
Oh,
Or it's
okay.
a half-inch grid, metal wiring that
So-
goes completely
it's
underneath and
small.
up.
So it's a metal,
Yes.
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
Because I understand that the critters that like to burrow don't particularly like metal.
They do not.
No.
They
It would
like
be
rubber
very
and stuff,
difficult
but
for
not
something
metal.
to dig up.
Yeah, we've had
okay.
chickens for 6 years with that setup, and we've never had anything, no issues with
Okay.
anything digging in.
And your letter indicated that you moved here 2 years ago?
Yes, that's
Yes, sir.
correct.
In case there's anybody watching who is interested in having hens or chickens or ducks, you need to get a special use permit before the hens and the chickens and the ducks arrive at the property.
Yes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we did research on places that were allowed, which is one of the reasons why we moved to West Arundequite. Admittedly, we were kind of overwhelmed with the requirements, and then when we got here, we were overwhelmed with the house that we moved into. So yes, it took us a long time.
All right, Well,
That is true.
when you looked into the town code, I think you would have found that it said that you need a special use permit to harbor them, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we were overwhelmed, and so I'm sure we did read that. I honestly don't remember.
All right, well, this is directed more to the folks who are watching or will be watching at some point in the future,
Yes.
all right? And you're fine with 6 and not 8?
Yes. Yes.
That's fine.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Any questions, Joe?
Just gonna say anything about all the letters of support?
Oh, yeah, I should. I got to go back and do that with the other one, too. Attached to your application, you had a number of letters of support. We'll just read those into the record. There was a letter of support from Danielle Harmon Arnold, 135 Pine Grove Avenue. Judy Nicosia, 110 Eaton Road. Samantha Leader and maybe Alan Leader, 283 Eaton Road. Morgan Moy. Doesn't say their address. Ralph Simpson from Rock City Sailing. Demore Viola Jensen, president of Lilac Children's Garden. Amanda Janot Hauser, president of Navigators 357. And then a bill from Storybrooke Farm Veterinary Hospital where they get their medical checkups, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? All right. We'll open this up to public input. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this application?
Good evening. My name is Frank Nicosia. I live at 110 Eaton Road, right next door to the Graylers, and the last couple of years have been really, really good. I was wondering after the neighbors passed away, they took over the house, and I was hoping that we would get good neighbors, and they are. Excellent neighbors, excellent family, and very good parents. And they treat their animals and stock very, very kindly, as you would any pet. And I'm all for them having a grant. And thank you very much for hearing me.
Oh, you're welcome. This is a public meeting, so we welcome public input.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Amy Scarmazino. I live at 130 Eaton. And I too would just like to reiterate that I have known of the chickens and that they were kept, and they've done a phenomenal job, and you would never know it. And I'm here to support them and to say yes.
Anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about chickens or hens or ducks or anything and how they welcome in Arundecoy? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing with respect to this matter. Move on to the next case on our agenda.
Next case on the agenda is case number ZB, excuse me, 2026.07.03. Amy McLeod Loud is seeking a special use permit to harbor 6 hens with coop pursuant to Town Code Chapter 235-70 on premises 150 Timrod Drive in an R2 residential zoning district.
Hi.
Hi.
Adam McLeod, 150 Timrod Drive. And this is,
Ronald Madalena, 150 Timrod Drive. Good evening. We currently have 7 hens.
Can you raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm that everything you say will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, I know you have 7 because I counted them yesterday afternoon.
We're also made aware that the 4-foot existing fence may not be sufficient for a run, so we made a hasty run for the time being yesterday with plans to make a more permanent chicken run.
Because when I came, they were roaming all over the backyard.
Yeah.
They weren't out, but they were roaming around.
Correct.
All right.
All neighbors that we spoke to were in support of the chickens. We have one neighbor that's concerned about them hopping the fence. They've been known to, 2 of them have been known to hop the fence a couple of times. And I think the hasty run that we made should remedy that.
Now, I wasn't able to see the coop and the shed that it's behind, because I wasn't going to get into your backyard.
Oh, yeah, that was sort of the point. We didn't want the neighbors to see anything intrusive new in the backyard, but it is, as far as we know, all to regulation with the buried hardware cloth. It's called cloth, but it's the metal mesh underground, under the entirety of the coop.
And this is an existing coop,
Yes.
so you heard me review the conditions with the previous applicant,
I did.
and do you have any issues with any of those conditions?
Nope.
Now, since you have 7 hens at this point, I understand that hens are like pets and members of the family. So would you be agreeable if we to allow the harboring of 6 hens for a 5-year period plus 1 hen until it's no longer part of your family?
Sure. Yeah, it was never the intention to have more than 6. We knew the limitation, but we had to replace some that had died. And then I think we ordered 2 or 3, and they sent us 5 instead. I guess that's a common thing that they do. But yes, there are 2 that are reaching the end of their life, so that's plenty of time.
Okay, all right. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure where we came up with the number 6, but that's the number we came up with, so, and it seems to have worked. The other thing is that this permit is effective for a period of 5 years.
Okay.
So in 5 years, you'll need to come back here if you still want to harbor hens.
Understood. We thought we had gotten the permit, but we never followed through, or, I'm not sure what happened. When we first got them, we thought we had it, in the bag, but apparently not.
All right. Any questions or comments from the board?
Jim, they're also, if one dies, they're not replaceable
Right.
until, like the 5-year term comes up and you have to reapply.
Gotcha.
Temporary run, is that covered?
It does not have a net over it now, but they'll only jump 5 foot.
So it's a big coop with a run. So they have like an area to run around, but I thought it was okay to let them run around the yard since it was fenced in. So we just kind of like built just like more area for them to run. So they're not like trapped in a small area.
All right, well, someone from the town will come out and look at it, because one of the requirements is that you get a building permit for the coop. So they'll come and they'll check it out, and they'll let you know. But if you have had an issue in the past with chickens hopping the fence, then you probably should have something over the top of it to discourage that even more.
Okay.
Okay?
Can we build an addition to the fence on the property line that exists now? I know there's like wire spikes you can put like
You
a
mean
foot
go
high.
up higher? I think the fence that you have there now is what, a 3.5-foot fence? 4 feet?
3
maybe?
and 4 or something like that. Yeah, they'll jump up to about 5, and it really has to be worth their while for them to do that.
You're allowed to have up to 6 feet of fencing in the back and sides of your property.
Oh, I did not realize
So
we could do that on the sides.
You can
Okay.
take, they sell, I happen to know at Home Depot, 3 or 4 foot sections of chicken wire, and you can figure out a way to attach that to the top of your chain link fence as long as it's not more than 6 feet.
Okay.
But you'd also need to check with the town to see if you need any kind of permit for that. I'm not sure that you would, because you already have a fence, but
Great.
it'd probably be best to check.
All right. Thank you.
Okay? All right, is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application?
My name's Claire Vito, and I live right next door to them with their chickens.
On the east side or the west side?
Your address?
164
Thank you.
Timrod. I'm on the corner of Kendallwood and Timrod.
Okay, so you'd be to the west.
Yeah, I'm the one with the big side yard.
Okay?
And they are great neighbors. They're very caring, and their daughter, I used to help her son when he'd get off the bus when he was really little. And the chickens do jump over the fence. They jump over into my yard. And I really appreciate the fact that they're going to put up, more fence there. But I don't have a problem with the chickens. I just kind of like them to stay in their yard. I don't mind the kids having them at all. I know that she loves those chickens. She carries them all over the place. So I would love them to keep the chickens as long as they stay over in their yard. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who wants to talk, this is your second chance tonight to talk to us about chicken, hens, ducks, and how they are in Arundecoit. Seeing none, we'll close the hearing with respect to this matter. Move on to the next item on the agenda.
Next case is case number ZB. Are you okay? Okay. ZB 2026.07.04. Ryan Pearson is seeking area variances to install front yard 6-foot-high fencing on a corner lot exceeding maximum permitted height and non-conforming fence type on premises 2543 St. Paul Boulevard in the R1 Residential Zoning District.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Pearson, 2523 St. Paul Boulevard.
You swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
When I got the application, it said 2543 St. Paul Boulevard.
That's the subject of this fence. My home address it's a double lot. So our house is at 2523 and
You're on St. Paul Boulevard, your house is 2523.
and this
Then there's a 2525 on the corner.
and somehow
And then there's 2545, or 2543 across the street is 25 something more than 43.
yes, so
So 43 runs down Covington Road, and it wasn't until I saw the sign that I realized, because you're not on a corner lot, you have an L-shaped lot that splits
that's correct.
St. Paul and Covington,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
So yeah, we're asking for a variance to build a 6-foot lot while our lot's not a corner lot. It does share many of the same issues that corner lots have, having frontage on both sides. And the property is such an odd L shape because it predates the neighborhood by more than 100 years. So records go back to around 1820s. The house itself was built in the 1830s, and the 12-acre farm was subdivided into the neighborhood around 1930. And so we ended up, or the house that we are in now, ended up on this double lot with a garage positioned on the 2543 parcel and our house on the 2523. And so the north side of our house, which is next to the garage, functionally is our backyard. We don't have a lot of space behind our house. The house is quite long and it runs pretty much towards the back of the property. Then there's the driveway and a small shed, and then the property line. So we really use the space between the house and the garage and next to the garage as our outdoor backyard space. We've been working on restoring the gardens, which past owners had some beautiful gardens in that area, which were kind of left to neglect for many years. So been enjoying those and would like to enjoy those in some privacy, and in the future have a place where kids and dogs can safely run around and not go out into Covington Street. The fence will also help clear up some issues with confusion. We often get deliveries for our neighbors on the Covington Street left on our garage porch because they think it's another house, even though there's no address on it. And people cross across our lawn and our gardens to leave flyers in our kitchen door because they're confused about the orientation of the house. But yeah, we feel that it's sort of an artifact of this being an old house, and building a fence around this area will make the yard private and enjoyable and still allow the house to be visible from the street. We're proposing a naturally finished cedar fence with a scalloped edge, which we think will look nice with the historic nature of the house. Because of the setback, you'll still be able to see the second story of the cobblestones quite clearly, and we're planning on setting it back from the property line far enough to plant some flowers and such in front of it so that it looks nice for our neighbors walking by.
And on the map, I see that you indicate that would be at least 3 feet?
Yep.
You good? Any questions, Brett? Okay.
All right.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to this application?
Hi, I'm Maureen O'Connor Mulfair, 45 Bristol Avenue. I'm the POA for my mother, Bridget O'Connor, who's the owner of 2525 St. Paul Boulevard. And I'm also the property trust owner for this property, which sits on the left of 2543 St. Paul Boulevard, the parcel being considered for the 6-foot solid fence. Variance, this information is all new to me as of a few hours ago, so bear with me. Some thoughts and questions I have about the variance. The remainder of the street on Covington are all front yard properties. So for aesthetic purposes, I feel like more of like a 4-foot open fence makes more sense for what's being proposed. The neighbor on the other side of 2523, which is the actual address for the house, does have a 6-foot wrought iron black fence, which they were required to put trees in front of because it runs along St. Paul Boulevard. I actually was a prior owner of the house that we're speaking of, so I'm very familiar with how the property is a very odd shape. And we did have kids at the property too, so I understand some of the future concerns. I feel like a solid fence where it's being proposed, if it's 6 foot, it also is going to obstruct the people leaving their driveways, my mother, as well as the house on the other side of the property on Covington. I'm sorry, I don't know that address off the top of my head. And then also thinking when my mother goes to sell the property, there's going to be a possible 6-foot solid fence along the front side of her property. So that just aesthetically is kind of different because her driveway is to the right of where the fence would be on the right side of her property line. And one of my questions is, if it's approved, would they be required to put fences? I know he mentioned plants right now, fences along the property, fence to block the 6-foot fence and make it more look like a tree line as well, similar to the house to the left of them on St. Paul. And that is all I have. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure that the house on St. Paul that you're referencing was one that we were involved with years ago.
Yeah, that's when I lived at that property. It was my neighbors, the Renees.
Right, and that's actually filled in nicely.
It is, yeah, it looks really good.
So, have you discussed this with
I haven't
Mr.
spoken
Pearson
to
at
Ryan.
all?
My mother just told me this a few hours ago,
Okay.
so I haven't had a chance to talk to Ryan. But being the POA, my mother's elderly. She couldn't even really relay what she knew to me, so that's why I'm kind of here tonight, to learn more and just state some concerns I have from the minimal amount I knew before and then what I heard now.
I assume you have no difficulty with the request as far as it pertains to fencing to the west of what is labeled as the carriage house.
My only thought is if it's a solid 6-foot fence, it would be more like a barrier opposed to
Well,
a fence.
what's shown on the application is that it would go from about 10 feet south of the north line of the carriage house. It would start there, go to the property line, and continue south from there in line with the chain link fence that's already there.
Which, yep, it looked like it. She
So
quickly
that
showed
wouldn't
me
even
before.
be visible from the house that your mother owns.
Can I see the map you're looking
Sure.
at really quick?
I'm talking about this part right here.
So is this where, this is also?
Please talk into the microphone when you're up there.
Yes, this is,
So this is my mother's house right
that's your mother's house there, and then they're talking about a fence along the property line that goes out towards, would be 3 feet from Covington, and then down west, and then back to the what's labeled as the carriage house on this map. It says frame garage, and then there's a part, that part I assume you're fine with.
Yep, just more of
It's the part that,
this right here.
okay.
Because her driveway's right here.
All right, I was just trying to clarify what it was
I know
that,
it's an odd shape. for me.
yeah, okay, all right. All right, anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? Is there anyone here who'd like to talk to us about fences? Seeing none. Mr. Pearson, would you like to say anything further?
Sure. Love to get a chance to chat more about it, but from what I understand, Bridget, her mother, who lives there currently, has been very in support of the fence. We've talked about it a number of times, so I wish that we could have had a chance to go over the plans together, but I'm happy to do so. Where we have the fence currently, all along the property line is a good, I don't know the exact number, but at least probably 20 feet away from the driveway. And right now, it would be going in between, there's like a large lilac bush and a large pear tree, so it'd be going in an area that it wouldn't be making any new obstructions. There's already bushes and trees in that area, so I don't think that it would create obstruction of views or driveways or anything like that. It just sort of wraps around the part of the yard that we currently have our garden in. And then the neighbor on the other side as well, there's a number of trees and bushes between our property and his driveway, so I don't think it would be introducing any new obstructions on that side.
All right. So we'll close the hearing with respect to that matter and move on to the next case on our agenda.
Next case is case number ZB 2026.07.05. Christopher and Allison Schneider are seeking an area variance to construct an accessory structure, rear yard deck exceeding maximum permitted lot coverage on premises 114 Hurstbourne Road in the R1 Residential Zoning District.
Chris Snyder.
I'm Allison Snyder. We're both at 114 Hurstbourne.
Do you swear or affirm that anything you say today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing? Everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we are the homeowners of 114 Hurstbourne. We moved into the property in 2022. It's our first home together. Since moving into the house, we've done many improvements to the home, including putting in a new fireplace, renovating our kitchen, and we've continued making these sort of renovations to the property over time to improve the property. The deck that we're looking at now is directly related to sort of like the flow of our house. Many of the homes in our neighborhood, Laurelton, is sort of split to the west side with homes that were built in pre-war in the 1920s, and then the east side, which is post-war. Our home was built in 1926. So there's no porch, there's no decks on many of those homes, and they all kind of have the same layout. The dining room is where we would be building the deck off of, and along with that, there would be sort of patio doors that go onto the deck. Many homes, and actually the reason we got the idea of this is several homes, I can think of 3 or 4 homes in the neighborhood have that same exact setup with a deck off of the dining room. Something important to note is these are all urban lots. I'm sure some board members have kind of gone through that neighborhood as part of this process. So the lots are small, and as such, we are requesting an area variance for the deck because it exceeds the maximum allowable 25% lot coverage for accessory dwellings and structures. That constitutes 2.7% over, which is about 156 square feet of deck. I'm not going to go through all of the standards unless any of the board members have specific questions, but just to kind of highlight some of the primary arguments for the variance in accordance with the standards. This is a fairly modest request for 2.7% or 156 square feet. For context, the lot itself is 5,900 square feet. The deck is not visible anywhere off the property. Once it's constructed, it'll actually be a very low deck. We're looking to build a platform deck that would be no taller than 30 inches. Part of the reason we want to do that is not to have railings, but also for it to be not sort of visually, because we have a small backyard and we want to also do a gardening plan around all of this, we didn't want it to be visually busy in our backyard at all. Our lot is also fenced in on all sides with 6-foot fence in the rear. So it wouldn't be a visual obstruction to neighbors either. And it's in keeping with the nature and characteristics of the neighborhood in that many of the homes in our neighborhood have decks. And because many of the homes are the same layout, they actually follow the same exact plan that we're looking at doing already. So in terms of characteristics of the neighborhood, we do fit into that with the design of the deck that we chose. Some of the other issues with some of the alternatives that we looked at, one was building a patio, a paver patio back there, rather than a deck. But our street slopes from the west down to the east, and the entire neighborhood is clay. And if you know one thing about clay, it does not absorb water very well. So when we get very high rain events, the street floods, neighborhoods, like yards flood. Many of our neighbors have issues with flooding in their basement during high rain events. We do have a paver patio in the rear part of our yard. And a paver patio, in accordance with the zoning code, would not impact lot coverage because it's not considered a structure or building in accordance with the code. The paver patio in our rear yard has failed, and it's kind of wobbling all over the place. It also sits under a large tree, so that's not a useful place for us to actually set up and enjoy our rear yard. The area that gets the most sun, the area that would be the most convenient, would be right off of our dining room to be able to walk out during the day. But the other side of not building a patio is that in order to build a paver patio in clay, you need to dig and excavate about 16 to 24 inches and fill it with stone to have proper drainage. And even in those situations, you can still have drainage issues with clay. That is my understanding from talking to contractors and people in the industry. Our neighboring property to 120 Hurstbourne, they did put in a letter of support for us. They have had lots of issues over the years. They told us that previously with owners, they've had issues in the winter where the entire front yard becomes like a sheet of ice, simply because they're at a slightly, I think it's sort of like a low spot. Like as the hill comes down, theirs is a bit flatter. So any water that's shedding down that hill kind of sits where they are. And our backyard slopes pretty heavily from one side to the other. So construction of a patio would also require a lot of excavation, would require a lot of earthwork, possibly constructing a shallow wall to account for the variations in elevation. And at the same cost pretty much of a deck after doing all of that work, you would still have these environmental issues with drainage off property. So the most appropriate option environmentally would really be to just like not build that patio and do a deck, because that will not impact the infiltration of water on the property further than the issues that we already have. We also evaluated a 10 by 10 deck, which would meet code requirements. But a 10 by 10 deck, anyone who has a deck, that's not a very large deck. And for the cost, especially with the cost of materials and labor these days, it would not be much less expensive than a 16 by 16. But the benefit to us as homeowners would be much lower, to a point where we probably wouldn't even construct it if we were not able to get the variance, just because there wouldn't be enough of a benefit to us for the costs for it to be something that we can move forward with at this time. And then just my last point would be that this proposal improves the use and value of our property without harming any of the neighboring properties. And in fact, after our evaluation of alternatives, it's really the best option given the circumstances of our site. We also enclosed, and I think I sent it over to Michelle today, a letter of support with 7 signatures on it, and then our next door neighbor at 120 sent a separate letter later today as well. So we have 8 signatures of support from neighbors as well. Did you want to add anything, Ellie?
No, you covered all the
Okay.
points.
Thank you.
I have one question for you. You said your deck might be 30 inches above ground level?
30 inches or less. So 30 inches under the building code is the maximum height that you can have a deck without having railings.
I was just concerned because when I looked into your backyard the other day, I was trying to picture a 30-inch deck, and it looked to me like you would be sitting out there and visible above the fence line to anyone on either side of your property, because there'd only be 3.5 feet of fence left from 6 feet.
So probably towards 120, that is the case. But I think going the other way because of the hill,
Yeah.
that we would probably be shielded from. And I will say we can see down to the deck that's a couple doors down.
Yeah, and because of the slope, it's virtually impossible for us to not
Yeah.
like creep over in terms of sight line. But we're trying to keep it as low as possible just to avoid creating any issues. Our neighbors at 120 also have a deck. So we're trying to, and theirs is taller than ours, so we've been
Yeah.
trying to keep it low. But happy to hear any of your concerns with that, apart from that.
The only concern in front of us is
Yeah.
2.7% of your lot,
Yeah.
all right? Which, that doesn't matter whether your deck is 30 inches, 60 inches, or 6 inches. That doesn't affect our issue.
And I think
I'm only thinking from your perspective of having a fenced in with some privacy, that you might want to think about a lower deck,
And
like maybe
I
a
did-
foot.
She's the one that has been like, this needs to be as low as possible.
That's with me. I'm working on it.
So we do have obviously the slope, so I think we kind of need to keep it as low as possible because on one side, obviously, it's gonna be, I think it's like a 7 or 8 inch differential from one side to the other. So one side will probably only be, I think, maybe 8 inches off the ground, and then the other side would maybe be like 12 or
Well, that-
16.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to me, from the perspective of having the fences there and rising up above
Yep.
the top of the fence.
100% agree. And we may want to put like a lattice on the side to provide a little bit more privacy too, or something like that as time goes on, but
Well, those are all details of the deck.
exactly.
And when you get if you need a permit, you may not need a permit, I'm not sure.
We do, I believe, need a permit, but
Okay.
We'll figure that
we'll
out.
figure that out.
They'll,
Yeah.
they'll help
Step
you.
one.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, any questions or comments from the board?
I got one, Michelle. Is 30 inches okay, or has it got to be 13 inches, I thought it was, for railings?
That would be up to the building inspector during the permit process.
Because that's 30 inches is a long
It
ways.
is pretty tall. 30 inches is pretty tall, but that
2.5
is the code-
feet.
that is building New York
Yeah.
State Building Code.
Yeah, he would have to follow New York State Building Code, and that would all be looked at upon submission for the building permit.
Yeah.
And I believe we did put in, what obviously kicked us to come here was us putting in that permit. And there were a few comments in it, but none of them were related to the height. And we did put in 30 inches max. So I believe that it is fine, but obviously we will make sure that that's the case when we go through the permit process.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about decks or anything like that? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing with respect to this matter,
Thank you.
Thank you.
and the board will be in recess till 25 after 8. We deliberate on the cases in the order in which they appear on the agenda and for which the applicant is still present. So the first case, 397 Rock Beach Road, it does not appear that the applicant is still present. 7 Perrin Drive, Mr. Bradley is still present. 100 Eaton Road, you're present. 150 Timrod is present. 2543 St. Paul, or 23, or some number in the range between 2523 and 2570, somewhere in there. You're present. And 114 Hurstbourne Road. Okay, so the only one that is not present is the first item pertaining to 397 Rock Beach Road. So we will call that after we finish the others. So, Seven Perrin Drive. This application is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does someone wish to make a motion with respect to this application? I'll move that we grant the variance with conditions. The conditions being that the fence on the south side and the east side will have some kind of open, whether it's lattice or an open weave or whatever, for the top 2 feet above 4 feet of a solid fence. The fence on the west side can be a solid 6-foot fence up to 10 feet from the property line. With the following factors. A solid wood fence 6 feet high surrounding the entire portion that the applicant wishes to fence would be a possible change to the character of the neighborhood, because it would be fencing in what essentially is a front yard, even though it's the only portion of the yard that the applicant is able to use for, lack of a better term, recreational purposes. But the alternative that wouldn't require a variance would be an open fence of 3.5 to 4 feet, which would not serve the applicant's purposes at all. It's not a substantial request. It will not have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. It is not self-created in the sense that he needs to have some privacy. He needs to be able to keep his dogs. The dogs need to be able to run. And he needs to be able to protect his dogs, his children, and his family from the conditions that are to the west, which are problematic. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm sorry, before you second, I would like a little clarification. So this is front yard fencing, so the board is approving the 4-foot-high solid fencing?
4-foot-high solid on the south and the east
lot line.
side. On the west side, it can be a 6-foot solid fence.
6-foot solid fence out to Hubbardton.
Yes.
Cutting across Hubbardton in the front of,
Parallel to Heberton would be 4 foot.
4 foot, and then 2 foot
And
of
2 feet
open
of some kind
lattice.
of open lattice or open weave or whatever at the top. And that would continue on the east side parallel to Perrin.
So approving 4-foot-high solid fencing with 2 feet of open lattice.
Open lattice or open weaves, just some.
Or open weave.
Yeah, just not a solid.
For the additional 2 feet.
For the additional 2 feet.
Would I have to cut the top pickets off if I use a 4-foot fence panel and then put the lattice on top of that?
I'm not sure of your question. That would go to the building people.
If you buy picket fence, I'm just making sure, because you want it to be clear and open, so the pickets, you have 3 rungs on a.
Well, it doesn't have to be clear and open.
Well, that's.
Just so it's not a solid wall.
Okay, if you leave the pickets, it's gonna obstruct some of the lattice. I just want to make sure that wasn't gonna be a problem.
You'd have to check with the building folks about that. All right, so is that
Subject to
clear now?
4-foot-high solid fencing with 2 feet of open lattice or open weave on east and south lot lines. I just wanted to add that in there.
And that's up to the front foundation line of the house. Once he's past the front foundation line, the ordinance allows him to put the solid 6-foot fence there.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
You're welcome. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 1 member of the board remains absent, and the board has 2 vacancies. The next application before the board pertains to 100 Eaton Road. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does someone wish to make a motion with respect to this application for a special use permit? Bless you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the special use permit based on our special, I don't know, what would you call them? Conditions, yes, that they keep it to 6 hens. It must be a secure coop with fencing running at least 2 feet underneath the coop, open to inspections yearly from the town, proper lodging of the actual food and whatnot stored in a secure bin inside. Vet care is not a part of it, but we do appreciate that you will provide that if we need to. And also, condition building permit for the coop and run as it's built. Am I missing anything?
Maintained and cleaned,
Maintained and cleaned as well, yes.
and at least 4 feet from the property line.
And 4 feet from the property line.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Jim, they have 7 now, wasn't it? This one had 7, they can only go down to 6.
They have 6.
They have 6.
They were asking for 8, but we're limiting them to 6 that they have. It's the next one that has 7.
It would be 6 plus 1.
Is there a condition for replacement hens?
Yeah, no replacements for 5 years.
It says with no replacement hens and no roosters.
No, it wasn't articulated. I just want to make sure it was.
That's one of the conditions, yes. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. One member of the board remains absent, and the board continues to have 2 vacancies. So the next application for consideration relates to the property at 150 Timrod Drive. This is also a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does someone wish to make a motion with respect to this application for a special use permit?
I'll make a motion that we approve this special use permit as well, based on the following conditions. Limited to 6 hens, but in this case they have 7. They will be allowed to keep that 7th hen until it passes away and not be replaced. No roosters, of course, and no replacements for the other hens for 5 years. Secure coop with fencing 2 feet under and out if possible. Open to yearly inspections. Keeping the food stored in a dry, clean space indoors, the building permit for the coop and run, and making sure the living space for the chickens is maintained, cleaned properly.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Either one of us.
I got you the last time, so you're this time. Or he's this time. You were last time. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 1 member of the board remains absent, and the board continues to have 2 vacancies. The next application pertains to, on the sheet it says 2543 St. Paul Boulevard, or 2523, or in that neighborhood. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application? All right, I'll make a motion that we grant the variance with conditions. The condition would be that the homeowner and their neighbor will have discussions about what might be appropriate, but the variance would allow for the erection of a fence up to 6 foot in height as set forth on the application. We would strongly, as a condition, we would encourage the planting of things to soften the appearance of the fence and have consideration given to the type of fencing, at least as it fronts on Covington, perhaps, with what was previously approved on the other side of the house on St. Paul. But there's already shredding there, but or there's already shrubbery there, not shredding. I'm sorry. It's been a long weekend. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Oh, and findings. This will not bring an adverse change to the character of the neighborhood. The alternatives that don't require a variance are no fence at all, or a minimal fence that wouldn't serve the purposes of the applicant. It's not a substantial request. There will be no adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions by the granting of the variance. The situation is created by the unique configuration of the lot and is not self-created except to the extent that the homeowner wishes to be able to use it with more privacy and opportunity.
Mr. Chair, just to clarify, that was for the solid
Yes.
6 foot high fence.
Yes, with the condition that he'll do what he can to soften the impact on that and be open to other considerations that might be more pleasing to the neighborhood. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 1 member of the board continues to be absent, and the board continues to have 2 vacant positions. Next application for consideration by the board pertains to 114 Hurstbourne Road. This is also a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application?
I'll move that we grant the application with the following findings. The deck that's being discussed won't cause an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. There's quite a few other decks and patios in that neighborhood. Other alternatives, the applicant discussed the idea of putting in a patio, but rejected it due to soil conditions out there and drainage issues. Obviously, not doing anything, but that would not serve the purposes of the applicant. The variance is not substantial. Constructing the deck as described will not create an adverse physical or environmental impact in the neighborhood. Obviously, it's a self-created issue, but not installing a patio reduces their use of the backyard. And for those reasons, I recommend that we grant the variance.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 4 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 1 member of the board remains absent, and the board continues to have 2 vacant positions. So that takes us back to the top of the agenda, to the motion that was carried over from last month and the month before. I neglected earlier to note for the record that there were letters of support submitted in relation to this that were signed by Bob and Lynn Stockmaster of 886 Washington Avenue. Barbara Katz, 8 Madison Terrace. Paul and Jane Forbes, 627 Eaton Road. Irene Jubler, 45 Parkview Terrace. Angie Knapp, 38 Dewey Avenue. Larry Knapp, 38 Dewey Avenue. Alexandra Reed Miller, 99 Hillhurst Lane. Jeff Reed Miller, 99 Hillhurst Lane. Craig Rusticia, 24
Stutson Street?
Stutson Street, that's what that says. Monica Gardino, 315 Lakefront. Ronna L. Huss, 315 Lakefront. Cynthia Began, 878 Washington Avenue. Dan Hickey, 878 Washington Avenue. Catalina Palomani, 4950 St. Paul. Donna Wilizewski, 1085 Lakeshore. Lisa Cummings, 3 Madison Terrace. Patty DeComing, 19 Delta Terrace. Lou Camp, 309 Lakefront. Walter Harvey, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
841 Washington Avenue. Aaron Goldsmith, 2 Bateau Terrace. Angela Hall, 820 Washington Avenue. Steve Hall, 820 Washington Avenue. Rebecca Krautwurst, 12 Madison Terrace. Bonnie McKern, 401 Lakefront. Nora Dolbrian, 309 Rock Beach Road. Michael Wilcox, 314 Rock Beach Road. Kim Betkowski, 405 Rock Beach Road. Pat Leva, 382 Rock Beach Road. So those were submitted as along with the application. That just needed to be noted for the record. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application? All right, I'll make a motion that we grant the variance. I'll incorporate the findings that we made in December of 2024 in the same respect. I would note that the Property's been staked, and it appears from the staking and from the site plan that was submitted that the improvement will be consistent with what we discussed and approved, 8 feet from the property line in front, and I believe it's 10 feet in the back. And this would be subject, of course, not as a condition of the variance, but as a condition of getting the building permit to resolve and address the drainage issues that have been noted with respect to flooding on the property in heavy rains, and that would be addressed as part of the building permit issuance and process.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 4 in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. 1 member of the board remains absent. And the board continues to have 2 unfilled positions. Oh, yes. Along with the materials for this evening's cases, we received motions for the April 6, 2026 meeting. However, 2 of the members who were present on that occasion are not present this evening, so we cannot address those minutes. And we also received minutes from June 1st meeting. And again, one of the members who was present at that meeting is not present this evening, so we cannot consider and approve the minutes from that meeting either. So those will be carried over for consideration in the August meeting, when hopefully we have all 5 of us here, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Is there any opposition to a motion to adjourn? Hearing none, we are adjourned.